Welcome back to Nervous System Diaries. Diary entry number 29. Reality versus what people saw. Being on the road with number 2 was nothing fun. Every day I lived in constant fear whether or not he was going to be in a good mood. I was also scared to even go inside the truck stop if he didn't go in, because I honestly thought he would leave me somewhere. There was so much anger from him, not only to me but everyone. He got into screaming matches over the CB with other truckers, telling them to pull off onto the next exits. He got into it with truck stop clerks. So many screaming matches that living for me was just fear. One day we were home, he decided to get cameras for the house, so while we were on the road we could check in on it and make sure everything was okay. When I wanted to hang them up in the normal places that camera goes, he threw a tantrum. He didn't want them hung up. He wanted them placed around the house on the inside, one in every room except the bathroom. When I was able to stay home, those cameras became weapons against me. I would often get a text stating that he couldn't see me on camera. I would say, well, they're not supposed to be looking right at me. They are supposed to be angled towards the doors or the windows. He would say things, well, I miss you and I wanted to see you. I hated it. I said, this isn't a reality TV show where I'm on camera every day. I started sitting right out of range of those cameras on purpose until it just kept starting arguments. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I would be making my coffee at 3 or 4 a.m. because if I wasn't up when he was driving, that would be wrong. He would speak into the cameras and scare the crap out of me because I was still half asleep. There was also cameras in the bedroom. He wanted to watch me sleep, I guess. I would often either move it or unplug it until he said something about it. Imagine being watched in your own house night and day like you were in prison. There was another camera in the living room, but it also picked up the bathroom. I would get a text saying, yay, you're going to the bathroom. I hated being watched. The cameras that were for watching the house were used to watch me instead. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't nap. I couldn't sit in a place for too long. If I cleaned, he would watch. I know because he would text me and tell me I missed a spot. Most people hearing about the cameras were like, unplug those. What would he do? He's on the road. They don't know how much fear I had towards him either. He would threaten me if he couldn't see me. If I did have the cameras off, he'd say he was going to call the police on me and do wellness checks. I was so scared, so I just followed directions to avoid conflict. Something else happened while I was on the truck. It was surrounded by road rage. By this time, number 2 thought he was a god, that he was a better driver than everyone else on the road. I remember a white truck pulling out from a side street. Number 2 rode his bumper hard until it switched lanes, but number 2 wasn't done with him. He wanted to scare him. He started shifting lanes to get back behind the truck. We were side by side at one point, and number 2 got a little bit ahead of him. Not clear. He then took his truck and got over, pushing the white truck off the shoulder. I saw every bit of what was going on. Number 2 even said, I guess I taught him a lesson. I was scared. I was so scared that I blurted out what I had seen on the back window of that truck. It was some kind of decal that states off-duty police officer. He started raging at me and telling me I was wrong and that I was just on their side. They cut him off, and that's what they get for fucking with the wrong trucker. 4 miles up the road, he gets pulled over, and I had been right. There were 6 cop cars waiting for him. He almost lost his license that year. The cop issued a ticket that would affect his career as a trucker. Guess whose fault it became? You guessed it. Number 2's work had a good lawyer and cameras on the truck. They saw the white truck pull out in front of him. Number 2 played it off like it was in his blind spot, even though he knew what he was doing. But his company asked me to write a letter confirming what I saw. Number 2 threatened me to lie for him. He told me he would never work again if I made him lose his career. He said, if you do this for me, I'll get you your health insurance. He knew I needed it. I had needed it for such a long time, and that's how he got me to lie for him. I just pretended like I didn't know anything had happened after the truck pulled out on us. His court case got his ticket downgraded to just paying a fine and taking a driving course. His company paid for the ticket. A year later, after Puppy died, I was looking at a dog shelter for dogs up for adoption. I was just looking. I wasn't ready. It had only been 1 year. I saw a German Shepherd that was cute, but I didn't want a huge dog like that, not with how my body felt often. I wanted a smaller pup if I was going to get one. Number 2 saw the German Shepherd and said, I've always wanted one of those dogs. I will train it really good for you if you let me get it. I was like, no, it's too big. He said, well, it will stop me from hitting you so much if we got it. He literally admitted to me that in fact he abused me. Well, we did go and look at the dog. I saw another pup that in my opinion was much better for me. A sweet elder girl dog. We did end up getting Pup. I never knew I could handle Pup because he was still a young baby. He was trained for the most part, and the foster mom was amazing. So now we had another dog. When you own a German Shepherd, they choose one person to shadow. Pup chose me. This made Number 2 mad as well, to the point he rarely wanted anything to do with Pup. He wanted Pup to become a trucker dog to protect, but when Pup did his job to protect, like bark and growl, Number 2 would hit him. One day at a truck stop, Number 2 pinned Pup down to the ground after barking. A lot of people saw this. I was so embarrassed and concerned for Pup. One trucker came over to Number 2 and asked to show him how to handle Pup. Pup wasn't aggressive. He just had anxiety. Number 2, of course, listened to the man, but once back on the truck, he did the same stuff over and over. Pup would often hide behind me for safety. When we were on the truck with Number 2, he would get far more aggressive in his road rage. If I didn't give a reaction, he would take the steering wheel of the semi-truck and weave it all through the lanes, acting like he was going to go off the road. Except one day, he actually did. He almost flipped us. The end of the trailer was stuck up off the ground. The 4 tires on the left-hand side were airborne. The cab was leaning to the right. I had to crawl out of the high side with Pup while he called his company to tell him he needed to be towed off the shoulder. A cop would eventually venture by and inquire as to what happened. Number 2 blamed me. Said I was throwing up in a trash can behind his seat and it distracted him and he pulled too far off the shoulder. And that's how he used his semi as a weapon against me. He did the swearing thing a lot to get a reaction. Pup would sleep on the bottom bunk with me. Pup eventually grew on me. I think it had to do with me having to protect him so much when Number 2 would have his usual meltdowns and start raging. He would hit Pup, but I started putting myself between him and Pup to protect him. Pup loved me so much and was always calm around me when Number 2 wasn't around. Number 2 ended up going to another company as an owner-operator, but it only made his rage even worse. He abused me more in 1 month that he was with that company than he had ever did the entire time we had been together, and blamed it on the tight schedule he was always on. I was screamed at all day. I had things thrown at me. There was a mustard day. It was all over the truck. Me, him, Pup. I told myself I wasn't going to clean it up this time. I ended up doing it because I didn't want Pup to get sick. There was more road rage including number 2 following a vehicle for 10 to 15 miles, exiting the interstate, going down side roads where an 18-wheeler shouldn't have ever been. Meanwhile, I was begging and pleading with him to stop, and he was yelling at me and telling me to clean up the stuff that was falling out of the fridge because of his driving. Everything was falling all over the place. He said, "Clean it up now or shit will start going out the window." I was slung all over the cab of the truck, as well as having to come out of my seatbelt while he was raging. He also told me if he didn't comply with him, he would leave my ass on the side of the road out west where we were. I did as I was told, with tears streaming down my face, silently, not to make him any more angry. He even had a knife out, threatening me with it, and that's why I did as I was told. I knew then I had to get off the truck. He would be called into his hub after a delivery. Now, I don't know what transpired in the meeting, but I'm pretty sure I know it had to do with how he was treating me and his road rage. You see, the company had in-facing cameras. While they weren't on all the time, they were on when an event in the truck happened, like him slamming on the brakes or riding bumpers. I'm for certain they saw what I went through. Number 2 came out of that meeting, texted me, and said he was going to walk out into the traffic. He had gotten fired. I was so upset because we weren't home. I ran as hard as I could to save him. Looking back now, I think he did it to make me feel bad, to rattle my nerves. I doubt he would even have ever done it. But at the time, all I could think about was how was I going to get Pup and I home safe. He was given a check for a rental car while he was gone with someone that took him there. I was to clean out and pack the truck. My nerves were so shot. Someone knocked on the cab of the truck, and I hopped down. They asked me if I was done cleaning the truck, and all I remember after that was coming back to. I had passed out in the gravel. Pup was in his crate in the cab of the truck. Number 2 decided he wasn't going to answer my text or calls. When I came to, the staff asked me, "Are you scared of him?" Not, "Are you okay?" That's not normal. I thought to myself they must have known about the abuse. I never said if I was or not. I just wanted to get home with Pup, safe, and never get back on the truck again. That's it for this entry. I'm a soft-spoken survivor, and this is the Nervous System Diaries.